our next guest is my favorite Philly of all time, 5-time All-Star, World Series champion, and one heck of a baseball player. Played with a lot of tenacity and hated to lose. Let's go to the Barb's Harley-Davidson Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room, Larry Bowa. What's up, Bo?
Hey, guys. I'm doing well. And sounds like you guys have some nice weather down there, and hopefully you have a good weekend.
Yeah, the sun's shining brightly, and it looks like we're going to have a few days in a row of great weather. And Larry, before we get started, I want to say to you, you were my favorite Philly. You came up in 1970, and I there's a couple of guests of mine that I've had that I really, as a child, as a younger kid growing up, that I used to emulate and idolize. You were one, and Joe Namath was the other, and I had both you guys on my show now. So I feel like it's almost a surreal moment for me.
Well, you know what? That's an honor for me to be mentioned in the same breath as Joe Namath. So, but when I played, I tried to do it the right way, play hard, and give everything you have, and it worked for me. And sometimes I watch games now, and I get a little upset. Not the fact that you lose a game, but how you lose a game. And I don't know. I know it's a different generation now, but I still think you got to play the game the same way, whether it's 1930 or 2030. You just you give everything you have every game, and whatever happens at the end, you turn the page. And I just don't see that every day now.
So, Pete, this is exactly why we love Larry Bowa.
Sure, tells it like it is.
Prior to Larry coming onto the show, what were we talking about? And the first thing out of his
mouth.
The first thing out of his mouth. See, this is Larry. I got to be honest with you, man. Your style of play, the fact that you showed up every single day, you played hard, you gave it all for this city, this team, and the fans. That's all they want. And today, we know the game has changed, but it's so frustrating. The fans care more than the players do.
Yeah, I still work with the Phillies, and I go down when they go on the road. I watch all the home games, and I go down and watch our minor leaguers. And I just try to tell them, it's a different city, and if you play the game hard, this is a blue-collar town, and those people work hard for their money. And if you show them that you care, and there's going to be days where you don't do very well. You might make an error, you might strike out 3 times, but if you consistently show up and lay it all on the line before your career's over, they're going to like you. But if you go through the motions, they're going to pick that up real quick. And, there's some of them look at me like I'm a little crazy, but I said, I'm telling you, I've been in that city a long time, and attitude has a lot to do with how they receive you as a person, as a player. And hopefully some of them listen, but there's been a few I've talked to that I know haven't listened.
Larry Bowa's with us here in the locker room. Larry, this is Pete Thompson, and one of the reasons I wanted to get you on the show is because I've been enjoying Down the Line with Charlie and Bo. I think it's an excellent show. I even texted you and said, my God, you're going to take Billy in my job because, like, the one segment at the golf course, you were the host. I mean, there, no disrespect to Sam Wilson, who's way better looking, but, no disrespect. But you brought it back like a pro. You introed the segment, and then you even were, and I love your sharpness too, Bo, because you were like, hey, wait a second, he fired me, he fired you, like, Hey, tell me about these coordinating producers, too, Missy Manuel and Patty Bowa. I look at the credits. I pay attention.
Yeah, you do pay attention. Well, Missy and Patty are sort of overseeing everything, and they're pretty critical of what goes on. And, Charlie and I just started out, and they said, hey, you guys want to do this? And I said, we might as well, And it's not just baseball. We try to get everybody involved, but it's been a fun show, and no, you don't have to worry about us taking your job. Believe me, we're just having fun with it. And but that golf one, I sort of had to get in there because I don't think Sam, who I think does a great job, she didn't know too much history about Eddie. She knew about Ruben, and I wanted to make people aware that Eddie Wade had a lot to do with the success of the Phillies back then, and he sort of got things headed in the right direction. And sometimes those guys that do that, they never get credit for how it ended up. And Eddie's a super guy. And to this day, he's a very, very intelligent baseball man. And I love talking baseball with him.
Yeah, very much so. And I said to Billy earlier in the show, too, like, in what other field, in what other profession do you end up? I mean, I know Vuk was really your best friend in baseball ever,
Right.
but in what other profession do you end up being really good, lifelong friends with the guy that replaces you? No disrespect again to Gary Varsho and his one game, but really it was Bowa then Manuel.
Yeah, it was. And normally, and again, looking back, when you're in baseball a long time, you really don't have any animosity for the person that it comes in and takes your spot. But there is a little bit of a question mark of why at that time, not the fact that you chose Charlie, the fact that I got let go. That because those 4 years, I think I did a pretty good job coming in after teams losing 100 games, and that's the part that gets you a little bit upset. But looking back on it, that baseball's baseball, and that happens. And if you get upset, you can be mad for a month or two, but after that, you realize what the game's all about, and you just roll with the punches. And some guys' opinions mean more than others, and that's just the way it is. And but no, Charlie and I are good friends, and we go to a lot of the minor league games together. And he's fun to be around. He's a great hitting instructor, and we talk baseball every time we're around each other all the time.
And you're both on Twitter. I love that too. At Larry Bowa 10, right? CM Manuel, right?
Yeah. Yep.
We're talking with Larry.
I didn't want to do that, but Patty says, you got to get on Twitter, man. People like to talk to you, so she's just afraid that I might tweet something out there that shouldn't be tweeted out there. So
let me cue up that Jack Nicholson quote. You can't handle the truth, right?
Yeah, you're right.
We're talking with former Phillies player and manager Larry Bowa. And Larry, you come up in 1970. You're small, slight of build. People say you can't play. The Phillies were horrible in the early 70s. And as you spend time with the Phillies and you get to 76 and you guys are starting to play well and making it to a couple NLCSs, it wasn't until Pete Rose came in 1980 that you guys get over climb the mountain.
Right. And those early 70s, I came up through our system, and we had me and Schmitty and Bull and Booney. We had a pretty good minor league system, and we won championships in A, AA, and AAA. And so we knew what it was like to win baseball games, but we also knew that many young guys on a team, you're going to get beat up a little bit. And we kept our head above water. The one year was unbelievable where Carlton won 27 games. And I don't know if we won. I know we didn't win 60. We won 50-something, which was incredible. I look back at that, and I'm going, how did that happen? But then, we started playing together, and you could see everything starting to round into shape and form, and we started putting everything together. And, again, people say you could have won more than one World Series, and I agree with that, but we kept playing the Dodgers and the Big Red Machine, and there was always one play, one pitch, one umpire's call that went against us. And then in 80, we finally put everything together. As you said, we got Pete, and Pete helped out a lot. But the fact is, we played good baseball really from the mid-'70s to '83, which was a pretty good stretch. And, the World Series, obviously, people say what was the greatest moment in your Philly career. It's not even close. It was winning the World Series, the parade down Broad Street. I would give everything I did in baseball to do that once again. That was the greatest moment of my life, winning everything, and the fact that we had to go through. We had to beat Montreal 2 out of 3 to end the season. Then we had to go to Houston and play the playoffs there, and every game was extra innings except the first one. And then we had to play a good Kansas City team, and we came out on top there. So it's something you look back on, and you're proud of what happened as a team together.
And Larry, it was a really special time, especially 1980, my senior year in high school. All 4 of our teams, the Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers,
that was a
made
good
it
year.
Their respective championships. I mean, it was a heck of a time to be a Philly fan, whether it was Philly, Eagles, Sixers, or Flyers. It was awesome.
That's really hard. I don't know if you're going to see that again. That's hard to do, and I keep bringing that up too when I talk to people. That every team was in the last round, and it would have been something if a couple more could have won. But the city was rocking that year with all this. You know how that the city is. When you start winning, they get behind you, and it was like a year long getting behind every team, and it was a lot of fun. It was fun as a fan to watch the other teams also.
Great.
So,
hey, Larry, let me ask you a question. Back in 80, because of all the success of all 4 of our teams, did you guys interact with a lot of guys from the other teams, like the Eagles, the Flyers, and the Sixers?
Yeah, we did. In fact, the Eagles, we had the locker room there, and right in the middle of both locker rooms was a big shower. So in August and September, when they would come in for their early camp for football, and we were still playing, we used to actually they would practice early. So when we came in, we'd come in and they'd be showering and getting ready to get out. So we hung out with them and talked with them. But the Flyers was, I remember playing a Sunday afternoon game, and the Flyers happened to play Sunday night. And a lot of us guys would, after the Sunday game, would go over to the Spectrum and watch the Flyers play. And we used to hang out together at events, and have dinner and maybe have a couple drinks with guys. It was fun. I mean, there was a bond between everybody, but I don't even know if guys know that who's on Flyers and who's on the Sixers. And we went to events together. To this day, Bernie Ferrant and I are still really good friends. So, and Ron Jaworski and Vince Papale, those friendships last a long time.
Larry Bowa's with us here on the Locker Room, and geez, Bo, you're making me nostalgic. When I was in college at WRTI at Temple, that was our move. We'd go to a Phillies game first and get settled in and put our equipment down, and then we'd scoot across the street, right across Patterson, and walk right up the front door, because the press box for the Spectrum was literally almost like basically from the press entrance of the Vet. I mean, you could do it in like 3 minutes. Yeah, as long as the elevator worked, of course. Nothing worked in the Vet, but that's a whole nother story. And I mean, you're getting me nostalgic for the good old days. Go ahead.
We had a lot of fun.
We
had a lot of fun during those days.
These shows that you're doing, so we've seen you did come to Ocean City, too. And our guest earlier in the show, Bo, was Gannon Brady, who's the pitcher who's going to go to Fordham. But Ocean City with a bunch of Division I talent on there, and some of those guys are a part of the Carpenter Cup team, the Tri-Cape team that just won. So what was that like for you and Charlie to talk to high school kids? At least you finally had a captive audience, right? They were listening.
Yeah, that was fun because Frank Kopenbacher, who used to be our traveling secretary when I was managing the Phillies, and he was there a long time when I was a coach there and everything. And he asked Charlie and I if we'd come and talk to their team. So we said yeah. And I had when we went there, I didn't realize that team was that good. Just talking with Frank, and I ended up finding out they won everything. And we ended up doing some videos before the championship game for them, and take my hat off to them. They did a great job, and as you said, they have some players going to Division I schools, which tells you a lot about. Even though it's a small town, they got some great talent coming out of there.
So what else? Give us a little preview. What else are we still going to see here? I mean, geez, Bo, I couldn't believe you got in a Temple boat, and I mean, it was one thing to row the erg on land, but you got in the damn boat.
Yeah, I got in the boat, and I was in a lot of trouble too. I realized, I go along the Schuylkill sometimes when I'm driving, and I look over to my left, and it looks so smooth, and they're going through the water, and I went, oh, that looks like it'd be a lot of fun. And I got in that thing, and, man, I'm telling you, it's a lot harder than you think. And there's a technique and everything. And so it had to be me or Charlie getting in the boat. Obviously, I lost. So
yeah, that's right.
Boat, and it was tough. But as far as what shows we have coming up, you know what? We've done so many of them. I mean, we've taped some. I can't remember what they've shown and what they haven't shown, but
I think the last one was the PSPCA, which was good because you got to talk to Utley again. I know that's a cause that's near and dear to your heart.
Did you see the golf one?
I did. That was the one where you got to say he fired him and he fired him, and I enjoyed that.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I'm trying to think. Well, I know we're going to the Navy Yard coming up. That's got one we're going to do. God, I can't remember the rest of the ones that we've done.
Now we know why Patty and Missy are involved.
That's right. Patty and Missy are the people that are doing it. But I'm trying to think here because there's a couple good ones that I guarantee. Let me see here. I got it written down here. And we're going, like I said, to the Navy Yard, and Patty's writing some stuff down here that we've done that my mind's going bad.
I love that you're pulling back the curtain. This is how it works.
I love it.
You're producer, the executive producer.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. You know what? I will text you and tell you the shows, but they're very interesting. They're not just baseball. we could have just gone into a lounge or something and talked baseball, but we tried to make it a little bit different and go out and sort of hit the city a little bit and get a voice of the fans. And so far we've got pretty good response.
Well,
so
I
we'll
love
see
it.
how this thing. We'll see how it plays out. Well, I'm glad you like it.
I love it. Can't get enough.
Hopefully, well, you're going to get some more, so you can tell me how it goes.
Hey, let me squeeze this in real quick, Bo. The big boss, if you will, or the head guy, this Ken Sellinger, in a small world, he created the TV station at my high school. So CITV, which was Colonial Instructional Television, he was the creator of that, and maybe one of the first high school televisions on the East Coast, stations on the East Coast, because cable was just coming up in like '78 or whatever.
Right.
So
that's great.
Yeah, I know Ken, so he's a good guy. You're in good hands.
Yeah, he is.
Missy and Patty obviously have you in good hands. Go ahead, Billy. It's your show.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Well, Bo, we have a reoccurring theme that we've talked. We have several high school players like we've interviewed from that team. But the one thing that is a reoccurring thing that we keep going back to, and I'm sure you'll attest to this. Fred Shiro said back in the day, you win together, you win tonight, you walk together forever. How true is that, especially with you in the 80 team and people that you've crossed paths with? These guys, you'll never forget it. They'll be with you for the rest of your life.
You're exactly right. I mean, I play with a lot of guys, and we do a lot of card shows together. But there's that one bond that when you and somebody else on the 80 team, that's something that stays forever. You got that ring. You got that grinding schedule that you played through. You got the tough series in Houston. That bond stays together. It's a little bit more powerful than when you play with a guy in the early 70s or towards the end of your career. You have a show. I mean, not that I don't like those guys, but there is a special bond, and you do walk together. Especially in 80, the first ever in Phillie history, which is something that no one could ever take away from that. That there's going to be hopefully other teams that win World Series here, but the first ever is something that stands out, and you look back on that and say, man, we were the very first team to do that.
Well, Larry, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time on Sunday morning to join us. Like I said, you're my favorite Phillie of all time, and I really appreciate it. And it was just such a pleasure having you on. Thanks so much.
Well, you know what? I really appreciate it. We got to get this team here to start playing a little bit better because that National League East is not a very good division this year. I thought it was going to be the best division in baseball, and it's turned out to be maybe one of the worst. So if we put together a 10 out of 12, well, we got to learn how to catch the ball a little bit better, especially on routine plays. And I think the team that gets hot because the Mets, even though as bad as they've been banged up, they're starting to get some separation with people. And you don't want to – it's one thing being separated by one team, but you got four of them in there. And then you got to – instead of worrying about one team, you got to worry about the other three. So we got to start putting it together a little bit. And hopefully today with Wheeler going, we can get back on a winning trail because – really, you guys, I know you guys watching. We could have won all three of those games.
Absolutely.
We won 2 out of 3, but they won 2 out of 3, but we should have had a 3-0 road trip start. But baseball is baseball, and you got to concentrate a little bit better, especially when the game's online. We got to continue. We got to start doing that a little bit better.
All right, there he is, Larry Bowa on the
Bo.
Barb's Harley Davidson Sports Hotline. We'll be watching the Phillies take on the Mets at 1:10 today. Thank you so much, Larry.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Bo.
Okay, guys, you guys have a good one.